Travis Wayne Goodsell. This is a reading of the second email to Judge Waddups in the lawsuit against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Corporation of the President of the Church. File number 219 CV00711 CW for Clark Waddups. On this day, the 28th of July, 2020. As previously emailed, the plaintiff believes he is no longer able to submit further motions in this case, and hereby instead sends communication for your Honor's consideration. Justice delayed is justice denied is a well-known legal terminology and is being implemented in this proceeding. The defense has been confirmed in default in responding to this complaint. We're making final edits as I go along here. As such, the case is closed in favor of the plaintiff for his request for relief. Instead, the plaintiff has notified the court about indictments of co-conspirators, which includes the defense counsel of the defendant. As a result of delays since the defendant's default. Thus, justice delayed is justice denied. Immediately after Judge Oberg's report and recommendation to grant the defendant their default request to dismiss with prejudice, the press reported that Judge Oberg was rewarded by this federal district court for her co-conspiratorial loyalty to the defendant, with the assignment of 2 new cases. Attached is the online reporting. And I attached the reporting, the picture of the reporting. Your Honor knows that everyone is watching, every single judge, and is in the public record for all to see. The public now sees that Judge Oberg was hired to recommend dismissal of the plaintiff's complaint and was rewarded for having done so. Your Honor is in the public record as having assigned Judge Oberg to replace Judge First, and everyone is awaiting for your public display of loyalty to the defendant over the United States and the Constitution and the laws in support thereof. The added indictment by the plaintiff of Utah Governor Gary Herbert, a fellow Mormon, still remains on the public record of his co-conspiracy with the defendant in dismissing the dire warnings of all health officials to again shut everything down and start over. Likewise is the case with the national executive, whose actions are also an indictment which must be remedied immediately, as our whole government leadership in this nation are committing the act of treason by genocidal warfare using a viral weapon. All government leadership were warned of what must be done to save lives, and instead they have chosen to immediately perpetuate the carnage which is directly applicable to this case. as a death threat to the plaintiff, as well as everyone else to show loyalty to the defendant, who likewise has as their CEO a lifelong medical professional who knowingly has committed harm by extorting state and local government leaders to prematurely open businesses and lower the viral threat level as shown from the defendant's own website. I then link to that website, and then I put in the quote from that website page. The church has authorized a phased return to some of the faith's weekly worship services and activities. This can be done only when local government regulations allow, and after the faith's area presidencies provide additional guidance to local church leaders. The state has put out a YouTube video showing how they are manipulating the testing per cases percentage to justify the yellow levels for Utah by including the total stats from the beginning of reporting online in April. And then I link the link to YouTube. This is why the White House considers the state of Utah as in the red level, because they do it correctly for the previous week's stats instead. Governor Herbert is manipulating the data to put Utahns' lives in danger and allow the defendant to resume operations and collect income. Governor Herbert is also using the wrong model for dealing with the virus, which is why medical health officials have been pleading to have not just Utah but the whole nation shut down simultaneously, and not sequentially, and start all over again. Only a simultaneous shutdown has been established to manage a viral outbreak, whereas a sequential shutdown has proven to indefinitely prolong a viral outbreak. See below the picture of the two charts as reported in the press. And picture is submitted or inserted. The CEO of the defendant knows of these response methods, and Governor Herbert and the national executive have been informed of these two response methods, as all have chosen to prolong this pandemic to assassinate American, Utah, and Mormon lives, even including the attempted assassination of the plaintiff. The plaintiff's case was an easy one. Plaintiff filed a petition for a redress of grievances with the state of Utah against the current defendant on 6 August 2008, who had been served. The state of Utah refused to accept the filing of the plaintiff and relabeled the filing as a terroristic threat, as a weapon of mass destruction, and prosecuted the case on behalf of the defendant. 2. The case never went to trial, as Dr. Cohn was assigned to alter the medical records of the plaintiff and have him disappeared for life. 3. The defendant financially rewarded Dr. Cohn for her loyalty to them. 4. The plaintiff was freed 6 years later, learning of the payments to Dr. Cohn, and filed this RICO conspiracy complaint. The defendant does not want this case to go to trial, as it will be made public along with the evidence, and thus filed their MO motion to dismiss with prejudice. But in this one instance, they filed their response in default. It is over a week after Judge Oberg's deadline, and therefore there is no grounds on which Your Honor can justify further delays in granting a verdict for the plaintiff with prejudice. As a fellow Mormon, Your Honor knows about the Mormon founder Joseph Smith's prophecies about the collapse of the United States and the need to save the Constitution from a monarchical coup d'etat. Your Honor must be aware of all the scriptures by the founder, also that his religion was also to fall into apostasy and need to be restored as well. Your Honor is not just choosing government loyalty, but also religious loyalty in this case. I remind Your Honor in the pictures below of the symbol of the God and doctrine of the defendant as portrayed on the keystone of the ark of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple and on the Seagull Gate pointing to the state capitol. I put my wedding photo as well as the Seagull Gate photo. I end this email notification quoting from the keystone document of the founding organization. Notice how I put the keystone document as the wording there? Before it was usurped with the inside job murder of the founder. I quote from Helaman, chapter 6, verses 22 to 25. And it shall come to pass, oh no, it shall, it came to pass that they did have their signs, yea, their secret signs, and their secret words, and this that they might distinguish a brother who had entered into the covenant, that whatsoever wickedness his brother should do should not be injured by his brother, nor by those who did belong to this band, his band, who had taken this covenant. And thus they might murder and plunder and steal and commit whoredoms and all manner of wickedness, contrary to the laws of their country and also the laws of their God. And whosoever of those who belong to their band should reveal unto the world of their wickedness and their abominations should be tried, not according to the laws of their country, but according to the laws of their wickedness, which had been given by Gadianton and Kishkumen. Now behold, it is these secret oaths and covenants which Alma commanded his son should not go forth unto the world, lest they should be a means of bringing down the people unto destruction. Choose ye this day whom ye serve. Alrighty. And Judge Waddups and the two defense councilmen are receiving this at 6:04 a.m. on the 28th of July, 2020. So there you go. Let's get this thing resolved and over with.